if you guys can see my screen. Anushka, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Got it. So the whole session is going to be about data science career roadmap and how to start your journey here and how to succeed once you're into the journey, right? And as the first step, as an icebreaker, let's start with a fun quiz, which is more related to data science and your career opportunities here. So let me go to the first question. So anybody who knows the answer can go ahead and unmute yourself and tell it, or you can even put it on the chat box. So your first question is, how long did it take ChatGPT to reach 1 million users? We all know that ChatGPT and Bard are the talk of the town right now. So you must all be very familiar with these two technologies. So any answers on how long did it take ChatGPT to reach 1 million users?
2 weeks.
Yeah, thanks for that answers. It was actually slightly lesser than that. It reached 1 million users in just 5 days. So all the chat GPT and all the crazy stuff that is happening around technology here has a very strong background from data science and machine learning. So these are the core technologies that are used in such amazing technologies that we see in recent days. And you're all here to kind of step into this new area and explore your careers here. So thanks for the answer there. So your second question is going to be, what is the topmost in-demand job in India in 2023? Any of you have answers for that?
Obviously, data scientist.
Yeah, you're right. So this is according to the Naukri survey that was conducted. So data scientist is the topmost in-demand job in 2023 in India. And another good thing to know is data analyst is the second topmost in-demand job. So both of them very close and within your purview of entering the data world, right? So thanks for that answer. Let's go to the next question. How many DS job openings are expected in India by 2026? Any idea over here? You can take a guess as well, like any random guess of what your thoughts on this particular question. How many jobs do you think are expected by 2026 in data science? Even a guess would work. You don't need to be right all the time. Any guesses so far? Okay, I'll take that silence as a no. It's an whooping 11 million number of data science job openings that are expected in 2026 in India. So this is a in-demand job, and there are so many openings and opportunities available for all of you over here. And the last question is, what is the average salary of a data scientist with 0 to less than 3 years of experience? Any ideas over here? Guys, you can unmute yourself and answer. Uh,
They are adding the in the chat box. You need to put the answer in the chat box.
okay, got it. So I see that you guys have answered in the chat bot, so I'll give you the answer here. So an average salary of a data scientist with less than 3 years of experience in India is somewhere around 10 to 11 lakhs. So if you look at any other field, a fresher who is entering is not expecting such a big package, right? So this is such an amazing field for you to be in and explore. So with all these in place, let's go into the the agenda of today's session. So I'll be talking about the different career options here in data world. And the second thing will be what are the key technical skills that you would require to enter this field. And the third thing is like all of you have, most of you will have this question, especially freshers, on where to start your journey and how to get into this field. That's something that I'll answer. And the fourth thing is how to get noticed by recruiters, because even such a huge competition is there in this particular role, we would want to know how to stand out and how to get the recruiter's attention. So that is something that I'll touch about. And how to ace the interviews, right? This is a very important part. Once you get noticed by recruiters, you will need to do really well in your interviews to get your job openings there. And the sixth part is, once you enter the role, what are all the skills that you need to kind of succeed in the role and grow further in your career, right? So these are the things that I'm going to touch upon in this upcoming call. So yeah, with that, I'll go to the first part of it, where I'll talk about career options. So the first career option that you can see in data is data engineering. So this is more of a technical side of place, where you can imagine a data engineer as someone who takes building blocks of data and constructs a beautiful data warehouse or a data architecture, and maintains it so that a data analyst or data scientist can retrieve information easily. And this is where the whole data journey begins, right? So data engineers are responsible for kind of keeping the data well maintained, structuring it in a way that's easily usable, and making sure that it works well. And within these data engineering layer, you can see few of these roles that you can expect, which is data engineer, data architect, and database admin. So each of these come with different flavors of data engineering, and anyone who is interested in these roles can look into the specific requirements and can even reach out to me to know more about these roles. The second part that comes in data career is data analysis. So this is the part where a data is being looked into, and all the insights that you find from the data is communicated to the business. So these are folks who look at data and answer questions based on that. And when you look at data analysis, you come across these different roles. So you can either be a data analyst or a business analyst or a business intelligence developer. So all of these come under data analysis. And the third part or career option you can have in data is data science, and that's what I'll be talking about in detail in today's call. And within data science, you can look at the you can have different career options or roles like data scientist, ML engineer, AI engineer, and things like that. So what's the difference between data analysis and data science? Is data analysis is sort of representing what's already there in the data and doing some base level analysis using tools like basic statistics and SQL and dashboarding and things like that. But when it comes to data science, it's a lot more about doing experimentation, coming up with your hypothesis and testing it with data, and giving a lot more detailed insights and finding patterns in data and things like that. So this is where the two roles kind of differ. So before we go to the next slide, I would like you all to mention what is your current status in your career. Are you a fresher, or are you someone who's already into data? And I mean, that sort of information will help me understand the whole profile, and we could take the call in that particular direction. Cool. I freshers who have joined here, and I also see some people with 2 years of experience. And yeah, I think this is more of a fresher type of crowd. Okay, I see experienced professional with 8 years of experience as well. Nice to know. Got it. Got it. Cool. So I feel it's a mix of all, but more inclined towards fresher sort of role. Okay, yeah, that's good to know. So let me move to the next part. And this is what these are the technical skills that you would need to know once you want to step into the data world. So the first part of that is data manipulation, right? So anyone who is coming into this field, they should be able to talk to the data and get what they want. So they should be able to manipulate the data in the ways that they like, and that's a very important skill that's needed. So to make you do that, to help you with that, SQL and Hadoop, Hive, and some of these non-SQL languages are something which is of very importance here. So anyone who is looking into getting into this field should definitely have a working knowledge of SQL and such querying languages. And the second part is the next level of data manipulation, which is data analysis and visualization. So here you look into the data and find trends, and try to come up with cool visualizations to communicate that to the end user or your end business. So to help you with these with this part of your journey, you will need Excel, which is a very important and a very powerful tool which you will come across. And after that, you will need some of these visualization tools like Tableau, Power BI, MicroStrategy, and things like that. And also at this point in time, to carry out some basic data analysis work, you will also need or Python, and knowing them is a very good advantage that you can have in this field. And the third thing is going to be machine learning modeling. So this is an advanced concept that you can work on in the data field. And for you to kind of work on this, you will the technical things that you would need to know is definitely R or Python, and a little bit of statistics. And when I say statistics, it's not just that. You will also need to know about some of these machine learning algorithms and how they works, and what's the math behind that, and what are the statistical techniques that are used in those things. So to sum it up, to enter the industry, SQL is something that is of importance. And to grow here and continue your journey as a data analyst or a data scientist, the other tools that you would require are R, Python, Excel, some dashboarding tools, and you should also be able to understand the math and statistic behind the machine learning algorithms. So, so I've covered the technical skills that are required here. So, do any of you have any questions about this? You can post that over the chat, if or you can unmute yourself and ask. I see Basavraj has raised your hand. Probably you can either post your question here or kind of unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello.
Hey, Basavraj.
Yeah, hi. Can I know how I can explain the data science project to the interviewer? Which are all the major things I need to concentrate? Because if I people from change from non-IT to IT after doing
Mm-hmm.
the applications and projects,
Mm-hmm.
so what is the main thing to concentrate in the project? Explaining the project.
Got it. So that's a really nice question, Basavraj. So when you are talking about your project, I would suggest you talk about three important things, which I'll also cover when we talk about the resume phase. So one thing is you need to talk about what is the problem statement about, and the second thing is what is the impact of the that your project has driven, and the third thing is going to be what are the technical skills that you used to kind of finish this project. So if you talk about these three things, then that will give you a wholesome understanding, that will give the recruiter a wholesome understanding of what you have done. I hope I was able to answer your question. So Naman Gupta has asked how to craft data science resume so that it stands out. So that's coming in the future slides where I'll detailedly give explanation about this. Um, so Akash has asked, is these skills good enough to get a job plus with 10 plus LPA. So it's not about how many skills you know, but it's about how well you know these skills. So all the basic skills that I've laid out, if you can really master them, then you can even go beyond 10 lakhs is what I have seen in the industry. And yeah, I think there are a few other questions as well, which I'll definitely answer in the next few minutes. But let's get back to the presentation and talk more about that. So now I'm going to be talking to you about what is the roadmap to start your journey here, right? Which I'll be explaining in a couple of steps over here. So as I mentioned, if you are actually struggling with where to start and how to venture this, I would suggest you start with learning SQL, which is really a must-have skill for any data professional, according to me and according to a lot of these. The job requirements that raise in LinkedIn. So SQL is plays the major role in all of these requirements. The second thing that I would want you to learn to get into this field is Python for data science. So such scripting language, it can be either Python or R, actually puts you in front of a lot of these recruiters and gets their attention. So this is a really important skill to have, and I would really urge you guys to go and start working on your Python skills. The third is once you learn these two concepts like SQL and Python, all the theoretical knowledge is good to have, but the most essential part of it is having hands-on practice in these two things. So what I would suggest is there are a lot of websites available nowadays like HackerRank, LeetCode, and other websites where you can go and actually practice your skills that you have learned. So that's the third thing that you will have to do if you want to start this journey. And the fourth thing is once you are comfortable with SQL and data science and you are able to do hands-on over here, I would urge you to go ahead and learn basic statistics. So these basic statistics are some of the concepts which we have already covered in some of our school or college courses. So if you go back and refresh on those and you can collect your knowledge on those again, it's a really important thing to have. And some of the questions that you would face in the interviews can very well come from these basic statistics concepts. And the next thing that I would urge you to do is once you're a little bit comfortable about the basic statistics and you are able to code things in Python, the next thing that you can venture into is basic machine learning algorithms. So if you're a fresher and if you are looking to enter into the industry, I would suggest you to start with basic algorithms like regression and classification. And my suggestion would be to not go and read about hundreds of these algorithms, but one algorithm under each of these headings and get a detailed understanding of these so that you can talk about that in the interview. So instead of knowing too many things, it's good to know a few things in detail. So that's my suggestion over here when it comes to machine learning algorithms. And all of these are very important, but the most important part when it comes to succeeding in your role is visualizing your insights and your recommendations, because that's how people in the business will get to know what you have done. So that's a really interesting concept and important concept which you will need to learn. So I would suggest you to learn about data visualization as a concept. So when I talk about data visualization, a lot of people ask me about should I learn Tableau or should I learn Power BI or which tool is the best to go forward. I keep getting those questions. So all these tools are really good, and it actually depends on the company who are using it, on which one they are using. But the most important thing to learn is the concept of visualization, right? So for example, if I have to draw parallel comparisons, if you know about coding concepts like OOPS, functions, and all those things, you can always understand syntax of a different language and start working. So it's good to understand the basic concepts of data visualization before you jump into looking and learning tools. So understand data visualization, understand how each of the graphs work, what is the use of those and things like that, and then probably try your hands with any of the tools that you really like. And once you have all these six skills under your portfolio. The next or the last, the most important thing is preparing your resume and preparing yourself for the interview. So many of us actually don't spend a lot of time doing this. So we spend a lot of time gathering skills and getting your hands dirty with coding and understanding all these things. But the really important part comes when it comes to preparing your resume and preparing yourself for the interview. So these are very important things that you will need to spend time on. So I'll touch upon these topics as well in the next few minutes that we'll talk about. So before I move to the next thing, I would like to answer a few questions that I see in the chat box. So Manoj has asked, can we directly get into machine learning or do we need to start from data science? So Manoj, what I would suggest is if you are someone who is a fresher, I would suggest uh, you to actually get into a data science role first and then look for a machine learning role, because I think hands-on knowledge or working knowledge on these concepts is really important to be a successful machine learning engineer. So if you are a fresher, first of all, get a sense of what data is, how it's handled, how data, what data means to business, and then probably try your hands on machine learning. Another thing that another reason why I'm suggesting this is probably there are fewer machine learning openings which directly hire freshers. So your scope will also be reduced if you're only trying for machine learning sort of roles. So that's another reason I'm telling this. Uh, I see some hands up. I see Krishna Teja has raised his hand. Krishna, can you unmute yourself and ask your question? I can answer it.
Yeah, hi Aparna, this is Krishna Teja. So I'm an
Okay.
experienced professional with 8 years of experience with
Mhm.
post-graduation as MBA. So what kind of roles can such professionals have in data science? So where do we start, and uh, can you throw some light on these things?
Sure, Krishna. So I would also like to know more about where is your 8 years of experience from? Is it from IT or, okay, you have mentioned 8 years in manufacturing, if I'm not wrong, and 3 years in
Yeah,
IT,
five
right?
years of manufacturing domain experience and 3 years of IT experience I have.
Okay, and in IT, what specific things have you worked on? Have you like been close to data before, or is it something that you're newly exploring?
Yeah, I have exposure to SQL before in my one of my
Okay,
project. But after that, so currently I'm working as a functional consultant, dis- uh,
okay.
so solving digital transformation projects for the clients, right?
Got it. So, actually, looking at the profile, what I actually feel is you can probably look for openings like manager in data analytics,
Okay.
where and specifically in the manufacturing industry, right? Because your 5 years of experience will count a lot in such a place. So
Yeah.
probably that's where you can kind of look into and look for manager in data analytics sort of role. I wouldn't suggest you to straight away jump to a data science role, because it will be tough to crack that place and do a data science role without any experience. But since you have already worked in SQL and you have good enough knowledge of the manufacturing industry and you also have your MBA done, I suggest data analytics manager is something which you can look forward to.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, cool. So I also see Vasavraj has raised your hand. Vasavraj, let me come back to you in some time. Let me also talk about the next things I have in my agenda. So yes, so I think we have covered this. And actually, now comes the really important part. I think a lot of you are looking forward to it. How to get your resume shortlisted. So, when you're going for an interview or when you're applying for a job, you're not there to advocate for yourself, right? So, your resume is going to be your representative there. And it's really important to get the perfect resume out there, because you know the competition in this. So it's extremely heavy and a lot of people are trying to apply for roles and get into it. So this part becomes a really a big game changer for anyone who is trying to get into the field. So here are some of my suggestions based on my own experience and also my experience of hiring people for PayPal or other organizations have been part of. So the first thing is a very important thing, try to stick to one page resume. So I know that all of you have a lot of things to talk about yourself and you have done a lot of achievements. Think of it from the perspective of a recruiter, right? So they are looking at hundreds and hundreds of resume every day. And, having a single page resume is something that is really important for your profile to get noticed in the first place. And now coming to the second point, uh, the start of your resume should have some human part to it. So write about your career objective, mention who you are, what is your year of experience, where you have worked, and what's your basic experience with, and things like that. And also talk about what you're aspiring to do if you're given this current role, and make it crisp. Don't, I mean, you should not be writing huge paragraphs over here, because again that will make your resume very lengthy, and people will not might not be very interested in reading it. So add some human touch to your resume in the first few lines. And the third thing is very important. Put the technical skills that you have as the first point after you mention about yourself, because that's where most people are interested in, at least at the entry level, or for a fresher. So list all your technical skills in a way that it's easily available for anyone to look and understand. So that's an important part. And then write about your projects, right? So if you're a fresher, probably you can write about your project that you have in your college in your final year, if it's relevant to your job opening that you're applying for. So that's what you will talk about. And when you're talking about your project, as I've already mentioned, you need to be concise on how you are putting your points. So talk about three things. So what was the project about? Second thing is what is the impact that your project has generated? And third thing is what are the technical skills that you used or learned while doing this project? And after this comes the education part, which is very important for a fresher, because right out of college, all you have in your resume is the education that you have had. So add about that, add details about it, where you have done it, from which year to which year you have done it. And if you have got any relevant certifications done from outside, always add that as well, because that adds a lot of value to your resume. And next thing is have all of these, it's really important to tailor your resume for every job applications that you're applying for. So I've seen a lot of people have one resume and send it across to all the companies that they're applying for. That approach in the past has not had I mean a huge success. So you should put on some efforts into looking at the job requirements that you come across, and kind of alter your resume in such a way that the those things stand out in your resume. For example, a company might be interested in hiring someone with core SQL skills. At that time you should be mentioning SQL at the top of your list, so that it's very easy for them to understand. All these small and minute things really go a long way to get your resume noticeable and very appealing, right? So the next thing, very very important thing, is never lie in your resume, because that's going to sabotage your whole interview. So if someone catches you with your lie on an interview, they are going to drill you down there and ask questions from that domain, and you will have a very negative experience. So it's always good to not lie in your resume. Put whatever you have done. So instead of lying, if you put whatever you have done and you can really explain that well, people really like that, and they don't like being lied to. And eight, and all the most important part, and I've seen hundreds of resumes uh, who don't follow this, always and always save your resume as PDF, because a text file or something can always be altered by anyone else, right? So and people don't like seeing such formats. So if you just send it as a document or a text file, it shows lack of intent from your end to even save it as a PDF and send it, right? So always save your file as PDF. These are some things which you can very easily ignore and just send the text file out, but it's always good to save your resume as PDF. And how you save it also actually makes a lot of difference. So put you have a specific format of saving these files, and always follow that format. So put your name and your years of experience, and probably mention the company that you're currently working with, or or the college that you are studying, so that it's a very concise format. So instead of putting final underscore one and sending it to someone who doesn't even know what it is, it's always good to have your name over there and your years of experience, so that it's easier for anyone to kind of understand your personal journey through your resume. So, okay. Maybe I'll take a pause over here. Any of you have any questions? Okay, I see Abhimanyu has raised his hand. Abhimanyu, could you unmute yourself and ask your question here? Okay. Soham, can you unmute yourself if you have any question?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Soham. Yeah, you are.
Okay, so I'm asking that is this field getting cluttered these days?
Uh,
Like due to invasion of different AI tools like data IQ and all.
mhm. So, what's your question again? I couldn't hear you clearly.
Like, is this field getting cluttered due to invasion of AI tools?
So,
Because I'm learning, like I'm 2023 pass out, so I'm
yeah, I got your question. So, if you think about it, all these AI tools have come as a part of this data science thing itself, right? So, I do understand that there are a lot of AI tools who claim to do all these machine learning works on their own and things like that. But if you think about the adoption rate of such things, there is still a lot of scope for real data scientists needed in this whole field to make sense of data and be close to business and answer their questions and things like that. And since you're a fresher and you're coming right out of college, I would suggest you to not buy into the hype of all these latest tools that are coming in, and stick to the basics and read about the algorithms behind these tools and things like that. But at the same time, I would also ask you not to close your eyes on all of these. Be aware of what is happening. Be aware of the new technologies that are coming in, but just don't buy into the hype of these things that are coming in, and always stick to your basics, because that's what you'll be judged on when it comes to an interview. Suham, I hope I was able to answer your question. Got it. So I see that Girish has asked how to get shortlisted for data science roles. So probably this is a very specific question, and I would actually need to look into your own profile and give you guidance on how to get shortlisted. But if you have to talk about a very overall thing of how to get shortlisted, you will have to have all the basic skills that I've kind of shown you here in the PPTs, and probably have a killer resume mentioning all these skills, and probably have a good network of data scientists, so that you get to know about postings that are coming in, and work on your referrals, so that they are able to kind of get you interviews scheduled. And yeah, I see Sumita has put her hands up. Yeah, Sumita, what's your question here?
Hi, Aparna. Sorry, I joined the session very late today. But I just wanted to know, the main motive of me to join this session is to know, being coming from a non-coding background or non-engineering background, and
Mhm.
even I didn't have any past subject like economics or stat. So, is
Mhm.
this possible for me to pursue my career in data science field? And right now, I'm a full-time employer. I am doing a job, but it's a totally different job. It's totally different field from data science. But yeah,
Mhm.
this is the main motive of me to join here. So I just want to know that about that. And if the answer is yes, then what should be my first step to get into this field?
Sure, Sushmita. So I kind of get the same question from a lot of people who are from non-tech backgrounds and who want to get into the field. The first question that I ask to them is why data science and why you're choosing it, and my answer totally depends on their response to that question. So, but to keep it very general, right? If you're really passionate about data science and you're not someone who's coming into this just because of the hype or just because of the package or all the other things that are tagged to data science today, there is always a way to come into data science because if you think about it, 3 to 4 years back, nobody taught you data science in colleges, and but people were still be able to get into this field, right? So if the answer is yes, you can come into data science, but depending on how far away from you are from technology and coding, it would take that much time for you to get acclimatized to all these things and start your journey here. And the answer actually lies with you, right? Are you willing to go that extra step and do all those things, and do you see enough returns of your investment of time and resources in learning data science? So that's something that you will have to talk. And I'll be very happy to connect with you, Sushmita, offline. So I also offer services where I look into your resume, look into your profile, and probably give you an estimate of how many things you need to learn and how much time it's going to take, and probably I can guide you whether this is a good option for you to choose or not. So not just for Sushmita, anybody who is having such questions and interested, you can definitely look my profile up at Preplaced and set up calls with me, and I can definitely help you through your career questions. Sushmita, I hope I was able to answer you.
Yeah, sure. I would love to connect with you outside this session. Yeah.
Sure, Sushmita. Thank you. I see Kaushik has raised his hands. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right, Kaushik. You can unmute yourself and ask.
Hi, ma'am. This is Kaushik from Chennai.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, thank you for the opportunity that you have for the meeting over the data science platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is like, by day, there is kind of payments that has been reduced. Like if I go from 1 year, I see data science role has been boomed a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
still, if I come from this day, I see data analyst, business analyst gets more paid than a data science role. Is there any difference that a kind of tools that we use in data analysis is more by comparing a data scientist, ma'am?
So, Kaushik, I cannot really talk about what's the difference in pay between data analyst or a data scientist, because if you compare a data analyst with 8 to 10 years of experience with a data scientist with just 2 years of experience, obviously a data analyst is going to get more package than a data scientist with less years of experience. But in the market, based on whatever I have seen, a data scientist salary for someone with equal amount years of experience is more than a data analyst salary. But that should again be an apples to apples comparison, right? So if you're comparing someone who is a data analyst at Google or let's say Microsoft to some data scientist, who to someone who is a data scientist with not these tech giants, with some other companies, then depending on the company also the pay varies. So that's my take on the pay gap or pay difference between data analysts and data scientists. And when it comes to technologies that you should know about data analysis or data science, data scientists would require a lot more knowledge on these machine learning concepts. They need a lot more knowledge on hypothesis testing, and doing experimentation around data, right? So it's a more technically intensive role compared to a data analyst role, is what is my personal opinion. I hope I was able to answer you, Kaushik.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, I see Himanshu has raised his hand. Yeah, go ahead, Himanshu.
Yeah, actually, so I am sort of a fresher,
Mm-hmm.
and currently, like, I have my portfolio ready, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
currently looking in the market for a job. So,
Mm-hmm.
my portfolio was initially towards machine learning, like deep learning, NLP, computer vision, more towards NLP, you could say. But
Mm-hmm.
now, like, I started to give interviews, and most of the companies who are targeting data science role, they
Mm-hmm.
were more towards, they were asking me, have you done hypothesis testing? Do you know
Yes.
design of experiments and all? These
Mhm.
sort of things are like I personally never although I did know about hypothesis testing, but very basic general concepts.
Mhm.
But now coming to the point that uh, these type of things, as a fresher, do you think do you know any books or any resources through which we can go through these things? Also, at what level of knowledge do the companies expect for freshers to know these kind of concepts in stats?
Sure, Himanshu. So actually, I'll take a two-stab at answer at your question. So you are saying that you are more comfortable with deep learning and computer vision, NLP, and things of that sort, right? So and
Yes.
actually, put that in your resume. People are going to expect that you know the basics really well for you to be able to work on these deep learning projects. Because if you go back into deep learning and really understand the concepts behind that, that all again comes back to basic statistics, hypothesis testing, and design experimentation and things like that. So you going to directly do deep learning sort of projects and not embracing the basic statistics is like jumping three steps ahead, right? So that's the reason you are even being asked about these questions, because someone who is looking for an entry level data scientist or a data analyst is going to want you to do these basic level experimentations, and they are not expecting you to run some complex video analytics or image classification sort of problems when you first enter, right? So first thing is, it's good to know about deep learning, but I would suggest you to learn about the basics of statistics and hypothesis testing, everything that goes behind the deep learning as well. That way you will be much more equipped to answer any questions. And the second thing is, for you to look at resources. I think this is the suggestion that I give for anybody. So there's nothing called a specific resource or a book that you can go and learn this knowledge from, right? So Google about these stuffs, Google about hypothesis testing. You get a lot of these websites, keep following those, and as and when you see something that you don't understand, start googling about that. So it actually goes like a chain. So once you start googling about something, there is a question that you get about something else. So that's how you go. And to answer your other question of how deep you should go, personally, I feel if you are able to explain whatever you know to someone and make them understand that, then that's where you can stop for the time being and go to the next topic. So if I'm someone who has no idea about what hypothesis testing is, if you are able to explain that to me in a way that I can understand it really well, then probably that's where you can stop and go to the next step of your learning. Himanshu, I hope I was able to answer that. I see some questions in the chat box, and I see Vishal has also raised his hand. Let me come back to you. Let me proceed with the presentation, and let me come back to you when I take the next set of questions. So we talked about how to get your resume prepared. Now let's talk about how to get yourself prepared for a data science interview once your resume is shortlisted. So the first thing and the foremost thing that a lot of these people who are in technical industry really forget about doing is researching about the company that they wish to join for, because that shows the intent and intent from your end, right? So look about the company. If it's possible, look about the team that's hiring you and talk to few people from that company to see what they are actually working on. And all of these things really help you when it comes to an interview. Because all these technology giants, all the fan companies, everybody is going to be interested about whether you know about the company, how you can help the company, and things like that. So that's a really important key aspect which we kind of overlook when it comes to an interview. We are very focused on the technical skills. We are very focused on coding and some things like that, but we kind of overlook at this step of researching about the company, which is very important. So the next thing is practice. So practice whatever you have written in your resume. So for example, as a recruiter, if I'm looking at your resume and you have written about the projects you have done, I would like to hear more about the project, right? So actually sit and practice yourself on how you're going to explain your project. And instead of just going at the interview and thinking about things, you might miss out on a lot of things that you could have told. So practice the answers that you would give in a data science interview, so that when a question comes, you will be very ready to take that instead of being scared about that question. So that's a really important part. And the third part is like everybody knows it. Keep practicing your coding skills, because any question that's given to you, they'll expect you to think about it and quickly write codes for that. So always keep that coding muscle of you flexed and ready to go. And next thing is practice your algorithms, right? So this is what I was telling. So instead of knowing 10 algorithms at one time, just try to know 3 to 4 algorithms, but go in depth on how they are working and where you can use them, what's the real life use of all those algorithms, and maybe explain about situations where you've already used them. So that's the really important part in these technical interviews when it comes to data science. And the next thing is prepare for some case study questions, because if you look at a data science role, it's as much close to business as it is close to technical side, right? People would like you to know all these machine learning and fancy stuff and everything, but at the end of the day they would really like you to connect it back to business. And this is where the case study things help them understand that part of your knowledge, right? So practice some case studies. There are so many open resources available for you, so you can google up about case studies for data science, data analysts interviews. There are also people who post about their interview experience, what sort of case studies they faced and things like that. So always try to look up these things and practice yourself on how would you tackle these case study questions and things like that. So it's not like whatever question you are practicing is going to come in the interview, but if you practice like 3 to 4 such case studies, you will learn the art of solving these case studies rather than solving individual case studies, and that's what will help you when it comes to the interview when someone gives you with a new question. So that being said, let's jump back to the question board. So if any of you guys have any questions related to the things that I talked about so far, you can definitely raise your hands and ask. Yeah, Basavaraj, I see your hands up. You can go
Ideal
ahead.
roadmap of data analyst.
Vishal, can you talk again? I couldn't hear you.
Ideal roadmap of data analyst.
Ideal roadmap. Uh,
Hello.
I mean, are you asking for an ideal roadmap, or what was the question about?
Yes, he said
Ideal
ideal roadmap
roadmap of
for.
data analyst.
Okay, so your data analyst roadmap is going to look very similar to what I've shown in slide 6, right? So, but let me go back to that slide. So probably for a data analyst, the first 3 to 4 things are going to remain the same. Probably maybe you can, for the time being, skip the basic ML algorithm part and concentrate more on data visualization instead of this part. But I think all the other things that I mentioned here are not just for a data science path, but are very common for anybody who wants to get into data field altogether, which holds good for data analyst as well. I hope I was able to answer your question, Vishal.
Hello.
And as a fresher, how to apply for a data analyst?
So, how to apply in the sense you need to get your resume in a really good form and try networking within your circle. Try to identify people who work in the companies that you wish to work for, and also look for opportunities that are coming up in LinkedIn and other websites, and see what are the requirements, and gauge yourself on where you stand and prepare accordingly. I think, and always ask for referrals. Don't be shy to ask for them. So yeah, I think these are the few things that you can do. And probably if you need more detailed suggestions on your own particular case, I'll be happy to connect with you after this call through pre-placed as well, and I can offer you more tailored approach for your own case and see how we can get you placed. I hope that answers your question, Vishal.
Yes, ma'am.
Basavaraj, I see your hands up. Can
Uh,
you?
Yeah, you told about the you need to practice some case studies. It is available in it's in internet or some platforms, right? So okay, in the project implementation in the real time, it is different than the what exists in the case studies. Okay,
Yes.
in when I gone through the some of the things in the for the practice, I have faced the little interviews in that one. They
Mhm.
asked the real time implementation. They ask for the to implement live in the interview itself. So then how the real time implementation project goes on, first thing. And also which are the platforms you are implementing the real time projects in your you have a experience like, right? So some of them are working for basic some things and all, we are working a Jupyter notebook.
Yeah.
So time implementation will be how it gonna be done. So for example, like if we work on a data science project, we use the some concept of oops concept, like without oops concepts to implement the data science project. So how you handle the project in your it means
Got it.
in your
So,
that will
uh,
pull to. And also there are some set of coding. Everyone will write a code in a each one of you write a unique way of writing the code in a different ways, right? There is a some structured format, right? Coding that will be approved and they'll move to the production, correct? So how it will be happen in your project, how you can do it in this scenario kind of thing in your project when you handled in this.
sure, Basaraj. I can try to answer that question. So, we, being a data scientist, my role is not much into implementing these concepts on a larger scale, but it's more about doing experimentation, working on these data sets, and building some proof of concepts. So, I personally work on Jupyter notebooks and R Studio, and work on these problems and come up with solutions. And I talk to the implementation team who sits in my company, and they use tools like cloud, AWS, and other scalable sources which they can use to implement these things. And you had a lot of other questions very specific to your use case. Probably, maybe we don't have enough time to answer that. Probably we can definitely sync up offline through pre-placed and talk to you. I mean, talk about your personal experience based on case studies and things like that. But when I mention case studies, there are separate rounds that are conducted where people ask about you to solve these case studies. And I have not personally come across anyone who asks you to write code for a particular case study within like 30 to 40 minutes of time. So we can definitely take that offline and see what experience you have come across. Then moving forward, I see another question: is there a chance that in future the technologies like machine learning, AI, and data science are going to developed by Java programming language instead of Python programming? Guram, specifically in field of technology, we never know what's coming ahead, right? So it's a very quickly changing world. So all I can know right now is Python is a really capable tool which is really being used across in a lot of these platforms. So I know that Java programming can also be used. So it totally depends on individual who is doing it. But I feel Python programming is going to be around for a long time because there are so many dedicated packages and everything that are being built in Python programming specifically for machine learning use cases. So yeah, I think Python is going to stick around for a long time. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah, okay.
Yes.
I will connect in pre-placed. Okay, I have some personalized, some general things. I have what I have faced in the interview, what they have asked, where I am lagging. I will explain in this personalized
Sure.
session. Could you please guide me on the same means? It will actually I have failed 3 to 4 interviews by explaining the
No
project.
problem, Baswaraj. So you can definitely talk to me. We can even come up with a plan. I can give you continuous guidance until you are placed, and we can talk about all the interviews that you have faced and where you're lacking, and probably I can guide you all through the journey, and we can hopefully get you placed in your dream company. We can definitely do that, Baswaraj. So looking at the next question. I've been doing courses on data science from almost 6 months now, but I don't know where to go and what to do. I know things, but don't know what to do with it and where to go. If you suggest me something, it would be great. Uh, I don't know. I
Ma'am,
don't know the name of this person. Probably get in touch with me after this call. Set up some time with me in pre-placed. We can talk about your personal experience.
uh,
Yeah, Vishal, go ahead.
are you taking any course for data science?
So right now, I'm not planning on doing courses as a general, but Vishal, if you want me to talk about some of these topics that I discussed, like SQL, Python, or something, the way that I'm mentoring each of you is going to be different if you are going to sign up. So it's going to be more tailored around what you already know and what you wish to know. So Vishal, if you want me to do some data science training for you separately, that's something that we can definitely do, but I suggest we connect offline and talk about your needs and come up with a plan, Vishal. That does that sound good? Cool. I hope I was able to answer you. I see Himanshu has raised his hand and also Aditya. Can one of you go ahead and ask your question now?
Yeah, so Himanshu here. So I see that you have experience in like New Sigma and all the companies. So I
Yes.
wanted to know your perspective, like as you are also in a team, right? So what like specifically for New Sigma right now, currently,
Mhm.
what do you expect from a fresher entering into your team? Like the things that they need to know. And you can go into any detail, like even the grain down to the like domain knowledge and everything. Like
So, as a fresher, particularly when I talk about Mu Sigma, they're not going to expect you to have knowledge on the domain because they know that you are not someone who's from that domain, and domain knowledge is something that will teach you through knowledge transfer sessions and things like that. As a fresher to Musicma, their most important requirement is going to be your willingness to learn new things, and they'll expect you to be hands on with coding on SQL and Python and things like that. So I think that's going to be the basic expectation when you are going in as a fresher in Mu Sigma, Himanshu. This is completely based on my understanding of how things worked in Mu Sigma. Like I would say 3 4 years back, some things might have changed, but I don't see a really good reason why this should change. So yeah, that's what you will be expected. I hope. Sir. Aditya, yeah, you can go ahead.
Uh, yes, ma'am. I'm just currently working in ISB college as a data scientist intern with a PPO. And just
Mhm.
currently, my question is something like that. Okay, I just want to start an agency for the data science for in the freelancing work or something like consulting work.
Mhm.
So, but how to start? What are the basic things which we can just provide as a means? I just think of the data scraping is my main domain to work. So it is legal to do or something. It is confusing for me.
Aditya, I would suggest you to actually get into these data analyst or data science roles and actually know what it is, how things are done in a company. Because you might have all the technical knowledge that's required, but you might not have all the business knowledge that's required to run your own agency or do freelancing, right? So I would suggest it's better to move to a freelancing or that sort of role at least after you have a couple of years of experience. That's what I would suggest you, Aditya, because technically you might be sound, but there are so many things that you will learn once you start working in a company. I hope I
Okay.
was able to answer you. Cool. Um, and the person who I mentioned that he or she has been doing 6 months and they don't know where to go, please definitely connect with me after this call. We can definitely talk about what you have done and what you have to do more and things like that. And I
How
will
to
definitely,
connect?
yeah, Vishal.
How to connect?
How to connect? You can look at my profile in Preplaced. So preplaced.in is the website where I'm being registered as a mentor. So you can search for my name under data science and you will find options to connect with me. Uh, Can you share the PPT? Anushka, I think it's possible to share the PPT, right?
Yes, yes, we will share the PPT as well as the recording.
Got it. Okay. Probably I'll jump to the. I think we are almost running. Yeah, we're already over by 1 minute. Let me complete my presentation and see how many questions I can answer. Uh, Anushka, is it still fine if we continue like 5 minutes from now?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So this is going to be the last session, I mean, last part of my presentation. So let's assume that you have gotten into your dream company and with the help of, I mean, after learning and guidance from someone in the field, you have entered the field. What are the things that you need to be successful in this career, right? These are some of the soft skills. So you need to be good at listening. So people tend to talk a lot and miss out on the listening part, and yeah, by talking you only spread what you know, but by listening you acquire a lot of things that you don't know. So that's a really important soft skill that you need to learn, and this is where the attention to detail comes in. So you really stand out if you listen well to other people talking about and take notes of it, and all of these things can really give you success in your career. And the next thing is communication. So you should be really clear with what you want to communicate. Don't be dragging things a lot, or don't be too short. As also try to strike the right balance and make others understand what you're talking about. So that's a really important part. And another thing that I would like to mention here is it's always good to practice communication, right? So even in the future, if you're joining such meetings like we have today, always try to put your hands up and ask your questions, because nobody is going to judge you for your questions here, unlike an interview, right? So these are platforms where you can try out your communication skills and things like that. So that's a very important thing. And the next thing is networking. So we don't put
What
it.
are the ways
Yes.
to improve the communication skills?
Talk a lot, talk to people. That's how you can practice communication. Like how you can improve your technical skills by practicing, communication is something that you improve by practicing. So talk to people, talk to a lot more people and see and get their feedbacks on how you're communicating. That's how you improve any of these skills, right? So that's one thing. The next thing that we kind of don't put a lot of emphasis on right now is networking, because once you progress in the career, networking is really important. That's where you find. So you have to network across a lot of companies, so that anytime you need any help from anyone, people will be up for helping you. And building your network is a really valuable asset that you can have. And the next thing is storytelling. So this is where actually all your technical skills meet the business, because if you are going to tell them just facts, saying that I see x% change, I see y% change, or you just show some graphs to them, it makes sense to you, but it doesn't make sense to the person who is reading it, right? Because they are not very tech savvy as you are. So this is where storytelling comes in. So you need to build a very cohesive story of what you want to communicate, and it should be very easy for everybody to understand. This is a very important soft skill which you need to kind of acquire and build that muscle once you start progressing in your career. And the fourth thing and the most important thing that I feel is time management, because it's very important to plan your day ahead, do finish all your work, and as well as have your own time for the rest of your life, right? So it doesn't make sense if you do work all the time and don't spend any time of your own, because over the period of time you will get burnt out, and you won't be able to succeed in your career. So time management is a very important essential part of your career, and that is really helpful for you to succeed in your career. So that being said, maybe that's all that I had for the presentation. And do you guys have any questions, or should yeah, I see Rudra has put his hands up, and yeah, please go ahead, Rudra.
Yeah. Good afternoon, ma'am. First of all, thanks for the session.
Sure.
So
I just wanted to know like what's the difference between the data analyst role and the business analyst role, and is it possible to migrate from data analyst to business analyst role majorly in the MBB consulting firms?
Got it. So this see Rudra. So a lot of these companies are using these terminologies very interchangeably. So actually, what I would suggest is rather than going with the title, I would suggest you to go into the roles and responsibility and see what it is about and see whether it matches your profile, right? But technically talking about it, a business analyst is a lot more close to business. So they'll be working on getting the requirements and communicating that to the data team and trying to see pick insights and consolidate those insights, generate some ppts and kind of transfer that knowledge back to the business. So you can think of it like this is the business spectrum and this is the technology spectrum. Business analyst lies close to here and a data analyst lies close to the technology. And if you look at data analyst and a data scientist even is more closer to the technology than a data analyst, right? So this is how it actually works, and you can definitely transition across these roles, because I personally feel being a data analyst or a business analyst, you should still have all the basic knowledge of SQL, Python, understanding of data and everything. So it's only about getting the business knowledge and transitioning. So it should be possible, and I've seen a lot of people do that. So I think I hope I was able to answer your question, Rudra.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Sure. Lakshmi Narayanan, can you go ahead with your question?
Yes, Aparna. Thank you. Thank you for the session.
Mhm.
So my question is, as you said, we have to start with SQL, we have to go for Python with data science, and then step by step on the roadmap. I'm currently learning SQL. I have just started and I'm going through YouTube videos and started to do the basic programming. So each and every programming on the roadmap that I am learning, how am I to certify myself to the recruiter? Because I have 8 years of experience in a non-IT field.
Uh-huh.
So banking field. I'm in the banking field. So as you said, I'm ready to. I have already started to learn on the tools and application that is required for the data scientist role. How do I implement those in a project? Because when I see, should I be doing at least minimum 1 or 2 projects in each tool so that I make myself fit for the role data scientist role in the end?
Sure, Lakshmi. So, to answer your question, I would suggest you to go and get yourself certified from companies like Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, right? Because they build a lot of they provide a lot of these certification exams where you can enroll and give your exam and get yourself certified, and you can put those certifications as a part of your resume, which actually adds value and which will help the recruiter understand that you have done some work in this area and you're kind of well versed here and things like that. So probably you can maybe you can reach out to me after this call. We can talk about what sort of certifications are relevant. Yeah, Vishal. Okay, so yeah, get yourself certified. That adds more value. Lakshmi, I think I was able to answer your question.
Sure, Aparna. I'll definitely connect back to you.
Sure, because all these are very kind of individual to each of you, right? So it requires some more effort into looking at your own profile and looking into how you can get yourself certified. So that's why I'm asking you to reach separately. I see Karthikeyan has his hands up. What is your question, Karthikeyan?
Good afternoon, Aparna. For a fresher data engineer, do we need to know SQL alone, or else we need to have a good strong base in AWS and clouding platforms?
So I would suggest start with SQL and get a really good grasp of it. That is the bare minimum that's needed. And if you still have some time or if you still have some resources to learn about AWS, having knowledge of the cloud and how things work there is definitely a very useful aspect, and that will definitely make your resume stand out to the recruiters. So First of all, get your SQL basics sorted, and then if you have time and the resource, you can definitely go into these things, and that will definitely add value to your resume, Karthikeyan. I hope I was able to answer you.
Yeah, thanks, Aparna.
Sure. So let me go to the chat box. I see Himanshu and Gurram have raised your hands. I'll definitely come back to you guys, but I think the chat box is questions have been there for some time. So Manesh has asked, he has completed his PGP in computational data science, started applying in LinkedIn, but not getting any replies. Can you suggest any solution? So this is very specific to your case, Manesh. So I need to look at your resume, what you've put there, how it is, and also I want to talk to you about how you're going through applying and things like that. So maybe connect with me offline. We can review your resume and your applying patterns and see where you are missing out. And yeah, I think we can work from there if Manish is still on the call.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Sure. So Akash has asked whether data structures is important for data science interviews. So there is a mixed answer for this, Akash. So there are few companies who concentrate on these data structures and ask you questions about that, but that's not the majority, is my understanding so far. It's always good to have understanding of data structures, but I would suggest you concentrate on the basic things that I've told you before you dwell into data structures, because there are a lot of openings which you can crack without having in-depth knowledge of data structures. That's what I personally feel. Manoj has asked, can age be criteria for getting into data analyst role, especially in FANG companies? So I don't know what sort of age range you're talking about, but as long as you have the right skill set, and as long as you're looking forward for the right opportunity, and and you're trying to enter at the right level, I think age shouldn't be an issue. So for example, if you have 10, 20 years of experience at a different field, and you still want to come in as a senior level person in these fund companies, probably that's not something that they'll entertain, because for a data analyst or a data scientist role, you are still a fresher according to them. So keep your expectation realistic when you're applying, and age shouldn't be a issue there. Jyotika has asked, as you told, refer some case studies that companies were asked. Can you please help me some platform where I can refer? Unfortunately, Jyotika, I don't have a list of these platforms, but I suggest Google is your best answer. And by Googling these stuff, you also gain another important technical skill, or a pseudo technical skill, is how to get answers from Google, which will really help you be successful in your career. So go ahead and Google these stuffs, and you can definitely get your answers there. How can you reach after the session? I think Anushka has put links. You can go to the preplace.in website and visit my profile and book your calls with me. I'll be more than happy to assist you. Yeah, Vishal, go ahead. I think, yeah, go ahead.
Which sort of interview round we have to face in
Uh,
data analyst interview?
Vishal, can we take this conversation offline, because there are other people also who are waiting to ask their questions. I think you have a lot of
Okay, no
questions.
problem.
Contact offline. I want to give fair
Okay, no
chance to others as well. Gurram, can you go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question? You've been having your hands up for a long time.
Yeah, good afternoon. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Actually, as you said, we need to do some certification courses and all. And I had did few certification courses in Coursera platform, and I also did on online internship. As I am a 2023 passed out student, like how can I find myself a permanent job role in the data science as a fresher with having the certifications, and at the same time already did one internship in virtual thing.
So probably you can try converting your internship into a full-time role if that's something that you're interested in. If that's not something that you look forward to, probably have alerts set up in LinkedIn and other platforms. And as and when a data analyst role comes up, you can go ahead and look at it and see if they are hiring freshers, and also build your network. And that's how you come to know about all these roles. And always keep applying, right? Applying for jobs has now nowadays become a full-time job. So you need to keep pursuing this thread, keep looking into LinkedIn very frequently to see if there are any posts that are coming in and which is relevant to you. And I think that's how you can go ahead with this, Kuram. I hope I was able to answer you. And Manjunath has asked what certification exams are available for SQL. I would something that I know of is Microsoft is kind of giving a lot of these certifications. I suggest you to go to the Microsoft careers page and look at different tracks that they're offering certifications on. Manjunath, I think if you're still on the call, you can pursue that thread there. Himanshu, can you go ahead and ask your question?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So my doubt was that when you talk about like visualization, so like
Mm-hmm.
for a data science role, is like Seaborn, Matplotlib, and all good enough, or do we have to learn Power BI or something like dashboarding skills as well?
So I mean, Seaborn and Matplotlib are some good tools to have, but it does. I mean, if you are really good at it, and if you have already prepared for other things that you wish to do in data science, and if you still have the resources and time, it doesn't hurt you to know a data visualization tool, right? Because at the end of the day, if you can really present your insights in a good way and if you people are able to understand it easily, then that's a win for you. And if you look at all these top level CEOs and management level people, they prefer looking at dashboards and understanding things that are going on. You might have different teams in your company who work on these dashboard, but I mean, it's a good skill to have is what I would say, Himanshu. So but that's not I wouldn't put that as the first step to learn for a data analyst. There are other much important things. So I would suggest if you are good with the other things and if you still have time to prepare, you can try looking at the basics of these tools. For example, you can see how Tableau looks like and how you can quickly get a data set into and quickly plot some things. And I think that should help you. I hope the answer was useful.
Yeah, I got it. But I was asking in the sense of data science. I think you answered in data analyst terms. So you said that
So
there can be two teams for Power BI data analysts. Yeah, yeah, got it.
So the issue here is in a lot of these companies, there is no perpendicular line splitting a data analyst and a data scientist job, right? So these lines are very blurry. People can still ask. So I am a data scientist, but people still ask me to build dashboards. And if I am able to do it, if my manager is asking me, Aparna, can you do this for me? And if I'm able to quickly do that, then I get a good name from him, right? I don't have to go and argue with him saying that, boss, I'm a data scientist. Why do you ask me to do Tableau dashboarding and things like that? So these are some extra skills that you can have in your portfolio, which will help you advance further in your career. You don't have to go and stand to someone else to put your insights into a Tableau dashboard and present. Rather, you can do it on your own. That's why I'm saying that's not the foremost important skill for a data scientist, but that's a good to have skill.
Also, like one quick question. I've heard this term data mining a lot, and I
Yes.
never bothered to search it up. Like, I can have a very basic understanding of it. I can imagine what it could be, but can you explain it to us? Like, what is data mining exactly?
So data mining could be in different facets, right? So one way I can interpret it is, for example, in PayPal you have thousands of tables of data of different things. You can have things about customers, you can have things about their payments, their transaction details, the country they are from, and things like that. Data mining is when you go into the data and try to uh, build some cubes and dice it up and get the relevant information that you need from the data, right? So that is what is data mining in my perspective. But you can always go ahead and look up what data mining is, how is it solving business problems and things like that, Himanshu.
Okay, thank you.
I think I've answered most of the questions. Sorry if I missed out on any of it in the chat box. You can always contact. Yeah, Himanshu, I think you've raised your hands again.
No, it was by mistake. Sorry.
No problem. So yeah, I think we had a fruitful. I hope we had a fruitful session. I hope this 1 hour of your time was spent useful, and I was able to give you guidance in the areas that you had questions on. And if you still have any questions, and if you want one-on-one mentorship with me on how to go about these placement journeys, how to get your resume reviewed, or even where to start, and basic things that you want to know, always feel free to talk to me, or even connect to me over the pre-placed app. And I'm also available on LinkedIn, so if you have any personal queries, you can always hit my chat inbox with
Can you
that.
share your link of LinkedIn?
uh, just give me 1 second. Actually, I'm not logged into LinkedIn in my laptop right now, so
I
it
have
will be.
sharing the link, chat box.
You're sharing the link. Yeah. Thanks a lot for that, Anushka. I
Thank you.
think you have my LinkedIn link, you have my pre-placed link as well. So for any mentoring needs, definitely do check out the pre-placed link and book calls with me, and we can talk about it. I think there are limited slots available. I think I'm only taking 4 to 5 people at a time, because I want to spend quality time with the people that I'm mentoring with. So you guys can go ahead and take a look at and book whatever package that you feel is more helpful, and based on our conversations we can alter the packages as well. So thanks a lot for joining, and I would also like to thank Replaced and Anushka for kind of hosting this whole thing, making arrangements for all that, and helping me connect with you all. So I hope to see you guys or hear from you guys after this call as well. And all the best for all your preparations. And I hope you really get the dream job that you're looking for. Thank you, everybody.
Aparna, in the session, everyone can get the recording as well as all the links through WhatsApp. We'll be sending it as the session is done.
Yeah, and one more thing is you'll be getting a link for 20% discount of my services in WhatsApp. So you can make use of that as well when you are kind of booking any package with me. So yeah, that's another perk from attending this session.